Studio tour, our current classroom setup. It's been 2 years of the Transform Ed Creative Studio and Learning Center, and although we are celebrating a little bit differently than I expected, I wanted to acknowledge all of the families and those who have supported along the way, including my own. Thank you to my husband, to my children, and also to our parents, so the grandparents of my children, for all of their help and extra hours behind the scenes. Thank you to everyone who believed in us and came out to our weekly programs and classes, and of course to all of you who followed along the journey. It's been 2 wonderful years. To show you what the studio looks like right now and how it's been set up for my own children. They are 2.5 and 4 years old, so both of them are in preschool. One will be starting kindergarten in September, and the other one will be starting kindergarten the following September. So since Transform Ed turns 2 today, I thought I would take you on an extensive tour and explain a little bit more of our space and our materials that perhaps I don't get to on an Instagram stories, seeing as they're much shorter clips. So I will show you the physical space. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the materials, where some of my favorites have come from. And not because this is sponsored in any way, but because I thought that if they've been working really well for us, then they might be something of interest to you in your home or in your classroom. I also want to talk about the learning environment and how typically in my kindergarten classroom, I used to have learning areas where it was specific to the learning that could happen in a space. For example, when I began, there was a dramatic play space, there was an art space, and now the way that I've designed the studio is in a very integrative way so that all of the different areas can be interrelated. And it doesn't necessarily mean, for example, that if you're in this space, only math would happen, because you can see and find the numbers. The materials that are in the studio are encouraged to be moved around. So if a child begins here, they may take their little paper with them, they may take their paintbrush, they might move the zebra. And so as I give you the tour, I want to talk more about what my own children have done or what I've noticed the children in the studio have done. I should note that it is dark right now outside because I'm taking this video tour while my children are sleeping for the night, and I can focus and I can share with you without the distraction. So we're going to start first with the grand piano. Again, typically you would think this is a music space, but within music there can be lots of math, there can be lots of even dramatic play that happens. I've noticed here that some of the children even are inspired to draw. We've had conversations about color and what else we can find in the studio that's black and white. When you enter the studio, this is what you would see. It's our gathering carpet where we do lots of stories and songs, and sometimes we have snack on this carpet too. We also have a designated area for snack. Since we are on our lockdown, I've moved things around a little bit. So typically these closets are for our parents to put their coats and their bags and all of their things. So normally I don't have the plants there so that there's lots more space for them to enter, put their baby seats. But since it's just myself and my own 2 children, we've spread out a little bit. By the door, there's a plant here with our logo. I've saved these stools because I'm going to wrap them in cellophane for us to paint and see each other through the chairs. So again, you can see our piano, you can see inside it. I love that it has the curtains around because it almost feels like the piano is on a stage. Okay, so back to this space. It does double up as a photo space. So we often take pictures here and change it seasonally or whenever I feel the inspiration to switch things up a little bit. Though we are focused on stories and songs because of the space and allowing for us to move around, music and movement, dance, I find that a lot of math happens here. So just even simply having baskets with objects, the moment that a child notices it, dumps it out, it's a great opportunity to work with them one-on-one and figure out how many objects are inside the basket. The books that I have here that I wanted to highlight, I really like this one, the ABC Alpha Beasts. I'll show you just a quick peek inside. And another one that I wanted to highlight is this one, because it's the first one I found that counts 1 to 10, but then it also goes backwards. So once it reaches the 10, then it goes back from 10 all the way back to 1. And finally, if you've never seen this before, the famous Baby Shark song has been made into a book for bedtime, and they've changed it up just a little bit. I feel like it's a little more interesting too. So it talks about brushing your teeth, taking a bath, all the way until the baby shark goes to sleep. And then on our shelves, we have lots of the materials that I've collected along the last few years. I would say I've been collecting for about 10 years since I became Reggio Emilia inspired. The objects are either from travels, they've been given to me, they've been and gifts. I've arranged them all throughout the studio in different colors. They are visually appealing. They allow for that conversation on the color, but more than anything, it's like our inventory is showcased like a gallery, and it gives me the chance to see what we have and how I can use it in different ways. So if I'm sharing certain colors or certain concepts, I can pull these objects down and place them in a specific space and then put them back when we're finished. Over here, you will notice our center table. If I have workshops with educators, this is where we would congregate. If we have parents and we wanted to have a discussion or have our children on our laps for snack, that also works. Usually on this side, I have the high chairs and this is our snack table. But again, because we don't have our program running right now, I have set up here some materials that we're going to explore outside. We're going to take our paint, huge brushes. We're going to take this Transform Ed t-shirt to paint on and have some color experiments. Over here is our washroom with our change table and full shower. We also have a room where we clean and sanitize everything. So you can see there, wash everything. And it's just hidden behind this farmhouse door. I purposely left this sensory bin out. And the reason for that is I wanted to show you some objects that have been collected or recycled around my home. Again, very easy to use in lots of different creative ways. I think I'm going to have a full YouTube video just on this bin. So keep that in mind the next time you check back with us. My daughter really loves these paints. They're from Dollar Tree, I think. They're glitter paint. And when she was painting, I gave her this, which allows her to see through a different magnifying lens. It's like a kaleidoscope, basically. This is a runner with stones. I really love these Mr. Sketch gel crayons. They work very smoothly, almost like you're using lipstick. This is just a closer look at it. I found them at Walmart. on Amazon. And then these are really, really cool. They come from Italy. Stabilo, and they work in 3 different ways. So they can work on your mirrors and your windows. They can work just on paper. You can use water on top of the drawing and make it into paint. So I believe those are just the 3. Paper, mirror, and watercolor. Over here you can see we have a huge TV. Right now both of the TVs are playing our YouTube channel, but normally what I have is nature. I'll put a pond scene or even different animals that maybe we wouldn't get a chance to see. So I consider these TVs as windows into other places that we normally wouldn't get a chance to visit. I have some sample portfolios and coffee table books that I make because during the studio programs, I do offer lots of photo options. There are learning spaces on the ground, learning spaces on tabletops. Many children like to learn and move their paintings where it feels more comfortable, like on the stool, on the ground. They'll switch it up. I give parents this 3-part challenge to read a book somewhere in the studio to make their mark. They can create something, or their child can create something, and then they're encouraged to make some notes about what they observe their child doing or saying while they're exploring. And finally, to take a social break and have a conversation with another parent or child at snack. But I also say to them that while they're here being present with their child, it's nice to extend that social experience even during the learning and not just when they're eating. So to find somebody new to play and to inquire with. This is our little house, our reading house. All the walls are magnetic. They've been painted as chalkboards or whiteboards. The paint can be found at Home Depot or Lowe's or anywhere like that. The only issue that I've had is it works really well with the magnets. The chalk I've had no problem with, but if you draw with whiteboard markers, it actually doesn't come off very well. So don't waste your time on the whiteboard unless you want it for the look. You can pick different colored paint, like a purple chalkboard or a blue chalkboard. I just wouldn't spend the time with the whiteboard thinking that you're going to be able to draw and create a lesson and then wipe it off nicely. If I do find a proper cleaner for it, or if anyone else has, please let me know and then I can definitely suggest that. I have to tidy up this little nook. It's our reading space because partly it's very well loved. My children like to come in here and read and close the lights and make it like a slumber party. So that's the one space you won't see very tidy right now, but I think it speaks to the fact that we are really using the studio. In the evenings when my children are asleep, I edit the YouTube videos, but I also set up for the next day. I pay attention to what they enjoyed and I try to leave that out. So my own daughter has loved Peppa Pig for a long time and Play-Doh, so I decided to incorporate both here on the light table where she can roll her Play-Doh and create with that extra dimension of the light bouncing off the mirrors. We have a little kitchen here. This is from Pottery Barn. And if you go into here, there are costumes. There's a whole YouTube video on how we transformed this little space. So right now it's really acting as a place for a tea party and to feed Spider-Man. Doubling up as storage, and more storage back here. So this video is getting kind of long, which means that I might have to do some shorter videos on YouTube per learning space so that I can describe more of where these objects have been purchased. Again, traditionally this might have been known as a building space, but we've had music happen here. We've had children exploring math concepts, science. I've even had incorporated the arts, specifically visual arts. Here, there are different tools to paint with, and mirrors. These mirrors are from IKEA. I like having the light there because it just bounces and gives a little bit more interest. And they're a little bit messy because we actually end up painting not only on the paper, but we also end up painting on the mirrors as well. So this is just a look of the next room. There's art all along the bottom. This is from IKEA as well. I have these bins from Walmart. So they provide height with the tray on top for some art exploration, but then you can also take the tray off and have the depth of the other tray underneath. So if you wanted to do something more like placing the t-shirt with liquid experiments, you'd want it to be in something like that. This is the space where I make all the gift certificates. So they come in 4 different colors. And I have stickers for when I make the coffee table books and I wrap them. Gift certificates come in these little bags. They get feathers and paintbrushes on them. I have lots of custom cards, tissue paper. So this is my wrapping space. I also do a lot of my planning here. And yeah, so here we are at the Transform Ed Creative Studio. It's been 2 years of amazing learning, and I can't wait to keep sharing. I hope you'll stay tuned and that you'll subscribe to YouTube so that I can continue to share more.